She was fine yesterday. That is the saddest sentence in chicken keeping. It is what a keeper says when chickens start dying for no reason at all, and I have said it myself, standing in my own run with my hat in my hands. And it is almost never true. She was not fine yesterday. She was telling you. A hen has no word for sick, so she says it another way. She says it with where she stands when the flock moves off. She says it with her comb, with her tail, with the way she holds her wings on a hot afternoon. And she is built to hide all of it, because out in the open the bird that looks weak is the bird that gets taken. So she hides it until she cannot hide it any longer. And the morning she cannot is the morning you finally see something wrong. And by then, you are a week behind. So today I am going to give you the 7 tells. 7 things that quietly kill backyard chickens, and for each one, the sign your flock gives you the day before or the week before, and the plain habit our people use so it never gets that far. And I am going to be honest with you at the end of this, because there is one death on this list that gives you nothing at all. No sign, no warning, nothing a good keeper could have caught. If you have lost a bird that way, stay with me to the last few minutes because I think you have been carrying something you were never meant to carry. Here is my ceiling and I will not go above it. Seen early, most of what is on this list is stoppable. Not all of it, most of it. Anyone who promises you more than that is selling you something. If you want your answers plain and your coop honest, go ahead and subscribe. I will not ask again until the work is done. The first tell is the one you do not find on the bird. You find it on the ground. Feathers and no hen. Most of what gets called a mystery death is not a mystery. It is a door. Ask any keeper who has been at this 20 years and they will tell you the same thing, and it is worth listening to even though no one has ever put a proper number on it. The great majority of birds lost to something with teeth are lost because a door was not shut, or was shut but not latched, or was latched by a hand that was already thinking about supper. The raccoon does not test your fencing, he tests your evening. And here is what is actually happening, because this is the part that catches good keepers. The tell is not the loss itself. The tell comes first, and it comes days ahead. It looks like a flock that will not go in at dusk. It looks like 2 hens roosting up on the fence rail instead of on the perch. It looks like fresh scratching under the coop that was not there last week, or a run of dirt smoothed down along the base of the wire where nothing should be walking. Chickens know before you do. When the flock starts refusing its own house at nightfall, something has been visiting that house at night. The habit is the plainest one on this list, and it has a name in our barnyard. We call it secure by dark, not secure at bedtime, not secure when the chores are finished. Secure by dark, every single day and the same person, and the same order, so that the hand knows the latch even when the head is tired. My grandfather said it that way, and he was not a sentimental man about it. The fox is patient and consistent, so the keeper has to be patient and consistent, and only one of you gets to be tired. Count your birds while you latch, out loud, every night. A keeper who counts finds trouble one evening early, and one evening early is the whole difference. That one takes birds in the dark. The next one takes them in broad daylight in front of you while you are standing right there. Heat. A hen does not sweat. She has no way to do it. Everything she has for cooling is her comb, her wattles, and her own breath. And when those 3 are not enough, she has nothing held in reserve. And this is the cruel part of heat. It does not look like an emergency until it is one. A hen in trouble on a hot afternoon looks like a hen having a hot afternoon. She holds her wings out from her body, away from her sides to get air onto her skin. She stands with her beak open and breathes fast and shallow. She goes quiet. She stops scratching. She stops laying, and she finds the coolest dirt she can and presses herself down into it. And her comb, which ought to be a bright working red, goes dull, and then it goes darker still, and it takes on a color closer to plum than to blood. Every one of those signs comes hours before she goes down. Hours, that is a long warning, if you know that you are being warned. Here is what most people get wrong about the fix. They think about shade for the coop, and the coop is not the problem. A closed coop on a still afternoon is the hottest place on your property. The birds need shade where they already stand out in the run, and they need it to move with the sun. A board on 2 blocks. An old gate leaned against the fence. A sheet stretched corner to corner. It costs nothing, and the difference is never money, it is habit. And they need the water cool, not merely present, which is a thing I am coming back to at the end of this list, because water on a hot day has earned its own place among the 7. If the comb has already gone dark, you bring her out of it slow. Shade, cool water to stand in, air moving and time. Not cold water and not fast. The heat came on over hours, and it has to come off the same way. That one you can see coming across the yard. This next one you can only see if you know the shape. There is a stance a hen takes that keepers pass to each other like a password. She stands up, not the way a hen stands with her back level and her tail up behind her, but upright. Tail down, chest high, weight back on her feet. She looks like a little penguin standing in your run. She walks a few steps in a wide, careful waddle, and then she stops, and then she squats down as though she means to lay, and nothing happens, and she gets up and does it again. That is the sign of a bird that is trying to pass an egg and cannot. You will often find her on the floor of the coop rather than up in the nest box, straining and puffed up, and hot to the touch under the wing, and she will not want to move when the flock moves. The rest of them are out in the grass, and she is standing in the doorway like a little upright question. Now, many of you have already seen the video I am about to describe, because 2 million people have. A woman sets a tub of warm water out on her porch and puts a weak hen down into it with Epsom salt dissolved in, and she sits with that bird and holds her and talks to her the whole time and calls her a good girl. And I want to say something plain about that video, because it would be easy for a man like me to be smug about it, and I am not going to be. She is not wrong. A warm soak is real supportive care for a bird in that condition. It relaxes her, it takes the strain off, and for the particular trouble of a bird that is bound up, warmth and quiet and time are genuinely part of the answer. 2 million people watched a woman be kind to a chicken. If you ever wondered what sort of people keep backyard hens, there is your answer, and it is a good one. But I have to give you the honest limit because the video never did. A warm soak eases. It does not cure everything. It is one tool for one condition, and if you use it on a bird whose trouble is something else entirely, you have spent an afternoon being kind and lost an afternoon being useful. The soak is not the lesson. The stance is the lesson. The stance is the thing that tells you which bird and when. And the habit that keeps birds out of that stance in the first place is not dramatic at all. It is oyster shell in a dish off to the side, separate from the feed, where a hen can take what she needs and leave what she does not. A hen building shells all season pulls hard on her own frame to do it, and she is the only one who knows how much she needs on a given day. Do not mix it into the feed and decide for her. Set it out and let her decide. This next one is the one nobody expects, and I would put money on it that you have never once checked it. Have you ever put your hand on a chicken's chest? Just below the throat at the base of the neck, a hen carries a pouch called the crop. Everything she eats goes there first, before it goes anywhere else. And that pouch is the plainest health readout on the whole bird, and almost no keeper in this country ever touches it. Here is how it is meant to work. Through the day she fills it, and by roosting time it should feel full and soft, about like a small bean bag under the skin. Then, overnight, it empties. By morning, before she has eaten anything at all, it should be flat, nothing there. So here is the habit, and it takes 4 seconds, and I want you to try it tonight and then again tomorrow morning. Feel the crop at roost. Feel it again at first light. Full at night, empty by morning. That is a healthy bird, and now you know it, and it costs you nothing. When it goes wrong in one of 2 directions, and you can tell them apart with the same hand. If in the morning the crop is still full and it feels hard, like a ball of packed dough or a lump of wet straw, that is an impacted crop. She has taken in long, tough grass or bedding or something fibrous that has knotted itself and will not move on, and it is sitting there blocking everything behind it. She is still eating or trying to, and none of it is reaching her. If in the morning the crop is still full but it feels soft and slack, like a balloon of liquid, and there is a sour smell off her breath when you bring her up near your face, that is a sour crop. It is the same slow traffic jam, gone to fermenting. Either way, the reading is the same, and it is a serious one. This bird has not actually eaten in a day, however much she has been putting in her beak. And a hen has no reserves to spare. She is a small hot engine, and she runs on what went in this morning. The prevention is dull, which is how you know it is real. Keep the long, tough grass mowed where they range, so there is nothing out there to swallow that is longer than her own beak. Keep bedding they cannot eat, and keep grit in front of them always, because grit is the only set of teeth she has, and everything downstream of the crop depends on it. That one you catch with your hand. The next one you catch with your eyes, but only if you look at the right time of day. There is a way of dying that has no single bad day in it. The bird simply thins. You have seen this one, and you may not have known that you were seeing it. A hen who is a little slower than she was a month ago. A comb that used to be red and is now more of a pink, and then a pale washed pink. Feathers that have lost their shine and sit rough on her. A bird who is eating, right there in front of you, eating well and getting lighter in your hands every week. Her vent goes dirty and stays dirty. She is the last one out of the coop in the morning and the first one back into it at night. Nothing about that looks like an emergency, which is exactly the problem. It looks like a hen getting old. And then one cold morning she is gone, and you tell yourself that she was old. The veterinary manuals are plain about what is often really happening. Mites and lice, and the mites in particular do their feeding at night. That is the whole trick of them. You go out at noon, and you part her feathers, and you find nothing, and you conclude there is nothing. When the thing you are hunting spends its daylight hours down in the cracks of the roost bar, in the joints, in the seam where 2 boards meet, and comes up onto your birds after dark to feed on them while they sleep. A bird carrying a heavy load of them is being drained every night. She eats more and weighs less. Her comb goes pale because she is genuinely short of blood. She stops laying because there is nothing left over to build an egg out of. And she was never sick a day in the way we usually mean sick. She was being spent. So the habit is simply this: check at night with a light, not at noon. Lift a bird on the roost after dark and look at the skin around the vent and under the wings, where it is bare and warm. Then put your light on the roost bar itself, on the underside and into every crack. If you keep a white cloth, run it along the underside of that bar in the dark and then look at the cloth. That is the whole inspection, and it takes 2 minutes. And build the roost so that it can be dealt with. A bar that lifts out is a bar you can actually clean. A bar screwed permanently into a corner is a hotel with no checkout. That one is a slow drain. This next one is quick, and it comes out of your own house from the kindest hand in it. The scrap bowl. I have made a whole video about this one, and I will put it up at the end of this if you want the full list. So here I am going to give you the short version. One line each, because these are the ones that actually take birds. Moldy anything. Not old, not stale, moldy. What grows on damp bread and damp feed is the real danger, and a bird is small enough that a little of it goes a long way. If you would not put it in your own mouth, it does not go in the bowl. Feed that has been sitting damp in the bottom of the bin is that same hazard wearing a respectable coat. Keep it dry, keep it sealed, and buy smaller sacks more often instead of one big one that sits until August. Avocado, the skin and the pit especially. This is not folklore and it does not agree with birds. Raw dried beans. Not soaked, not cooked. Raw. That is a small thing that most people do not know, and it is worth the 10 seconds it took me to say it. Anything heavily salted, and anything that is mostly sugar. A hen is a small animal, and her kidneys are sized to match. And the general rule that covers everything I did not name. The scrap bucket gets sorted, not dumped. Greens, trimmings, the outer leaves of the cabbage, the ends of the garden, all of that is good. The plate scrapings from a family supper are not chicken feed and never were. Now, the seventh tell. I have saved it deliberately because it kills faster than anything else on this list and it gets talked about the least. The waterer. A hen who cannot drink on a hot day does not have days. She has hours. Everything I told you about heat runs straight through the water, because water is the entire cooling system on a bird that cannot sweat. The poultry people who actually measure these things put it at roughly a pint of water per hen per day in summer heat. A pint. Each. Go and look at what you are carrying out there in the morning, and do that multiplication honestly, because most keepers doing it for the first time find they have been running their flock on about half of what it needs and calling it full. And it is worse than the arithmetic, because a waterer does not have to be empty in order to have failed. It only has to be unusable. A waterer goes over when a hen jumps up on the rim. It fouls by mid-morning if it sits down at floor level where they scratch dirt into it. It grows a green film inside the reservoir where the sun hits it, and they will drink less of that, and you will never once see them refuse it. In winter, it caps over with ice and looks perfectly full from the kitchen window. In every one of those cases, you walk past it, and it reads as done. So the habit here has a name too, and it is the two-waterer rule. Never one. Two, always in different places, so that a tipped one or a fouled one or a frozen one is an inconvenience instead of an emergency. One of the two in shade. Both of them up off the ground, at about the height of a hen's back, so she has to reach a little and cannot scratch into it. And you do not check that they are full. You check that they are drinkable, which is a different check, made with your eyes and sometimes with your hand. On the hottest afternoon of the year, go out at 3 o'clock and carry them fresh, cool water even though the waterers are full. That is not fussing. That is the highest return chore on this entire list. That is 7. Doors and dark, heat and shade, the penguin stance, the crop at roost, the pale comb and the night light, the scrap bowl, the two waterers. Now I owe you the honest part. Sometimes there is no tell. Sometimes a keeper does everything on this list every day for years and walks out on an ordinary morning and finds a hen gone in the run with no mark on her, and nothing in the days before that pointed at anything at all. A heart that simply stopped in a bird bred to grow fast and lay hard. Trouble deep inside her that never once showed on the outside. It happens. The poultry literature is clear that it happens, and it happens in good coops kept by careful people to birds that were fine the day before. Actually fine. Genuinely fine. I want to say this next part slowly, because I think some of you came to this video carrying it. If you found one bird gone, and the rest of the flock came out bright and loud and hungry that same morning, it was not your fault. That is not comfort. That is the diagnosis. A sickness in the coop, or a heat failure, or a water failure, or mites, or a predator, does not take one bird and leave the others sound. It leaves its mark on the whole flock. When the flock is well and one bird is gone, what you are looking at is the thing that has no warning. There was nothing on the fence rail to read. You did not miss it. It was not there to be missed. I have watched good keepers give up birds entirely over one morning like that, and that is a loss on top of a loss. So here is where all 7 of these come to rest. It is not a product, and it is not a fence, and it does not cost anything. It is the morning minute. Before the feed goes out, before the eggs come in, before any of the chores start at all, you stand still at the gate and you look at your flock for 1 full minute while they are moving. That is the whole of it. And what you are looking for is not sickness. You could not name a sickness from the gate anyway. You are looking for the odd one out. The bird standing while the others are moving. The bird facing the wall. The tail carried low. The comb that is a shade paler than it was. The one holding her wings out at 9 in the morning. The one walking upright like a little penguin. The one who does not come running when the rest of them come running. That is the entire method. It is the only thing my grandfather ever formally taught me about keeping birds, and he taught it as a discipline, not as a kindness. Everything on this list, all 7 of them, announces itself first as one bird behaving differently from the others, not as a symptom, as an odd one out. And you cannot see an odd one out unless you are looking at all of them at once, standing still, doing nothing else. 1 minute. Every morning, before the work starts. You will not save every bird. I have not. Nobody has. But you will stop being a week behind, and a week is where nearly all of this gets decided. If this was useful to you, the one thing I would ask is that you tell me down in the comments what the tell was that you missed, and what you check every morning now because of it. Somebody is going to read your answer at exactly the right moment, and it is going to save a hen. I have put 2 more up on the screen. One is the full list of what comes out of the kitchen and what it actually does to a bird. The other is the mites, all the way through, because that one deserves a good deal more than the few minutes I gave it here. Go out and take your minute in the morning. Your birds have been talking the whole time.